Better down the bottom. Yeah. That's it. That's all of them. Yes. Yeah. So we only got 13. Okay. So you know, and there might be young birds. Might be a big trouble. No, we have a young bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe some breeds we don't know.
You want to see it?
No, because I'll move these around. I'll stop moving them. So we will take.
Yeah. I thought you were here.
Yeah, but I'm not. Now, yes, I am a cripple.
You're what?
A cripple.
Cristian.
Okay.
No aparece Cristian.
Anything, if you want to take photos of anything, or anything, just go ahead and take them. And then let you know. You can see them. So, you're running?
Yes, it's running. Pero para hablar.
Va a dar la presentación. Ahí está.
Ah, aquí la puedes. Es como hacemos unos anuncios. Si gusta, ahí lo puedes hacer ahorita. Buenos días a todos ustedes. Estamos aquí en la rama de Psitácidos. En este momento, nuestro juez Bob Wilson está haciendo la selección para escoger el top 10 que se va a asignar tanto a los canales, a los pericos de exhibición como a los pericos australianos. Estén atentos, por favor, porque van a poder apreciar todos y cada uno de los 10 mejores ejemplares de cada una de esas ramas. aquí está conmigo Liliana Ramírez, quien es la encargada de la rama de citácidos de la Asociación de Canaricultores de Jalisco, que también quiere invitarlos para que estén con nosotros.
Sí, los invitamos a todos a que vean y escuchen los comentarios que va a hacer nuestro juez Bob Wilson referente al top 10 de los australianos. Vamos a sacar, ahorita ya empezó a sacar el top 10 de los australianos, vamos a sacar el mejor australiano del show, el mejor joven y texto pues también de ambas, y enseguida seguimos con los pedidos de exhibición, postura o inglés. Bob, you want to say some more? Here we have Bob Wilson.
Yeah, hi. I'm just about to judge the top 10 for the Australians, which in many other countries are called wild takes or calabudgies. In Mexico, a little bit different to a lot of countries, where they will show either the wild types or they will show exhibition. Here we have both at a show. So first we will do the top 10 for the Australians, then later on we will do the top 10 for exhibitions, and then after that we will compare the two winners for best in show. So enjoy watching as I go through here. When I finalize the placings, I'll explain a little bit about each bird, so you understand why the bird was put in the position.
Sí, nos está comentando que cuando termine el top 10 de los australianos nos va a dar sus comentarios de por qué los posicionó de esa manera.
Entonces, no se pueden perder, sigan nuestra transmisión, va a estar muy interesante para que puedan ver por qué cada uno de los peritos obtuvo el premio que se le ha asignado por parte de nuestro juez. Muchas gracias y estaremos aquí presentes mientras ustedes disfruten de la selección de nuestras aves y que tengan un excelente día.
Gracias, doctor.
Gracias, Liliana. Gracias, Bob.
Gracias. While you're marking, I'm going to make a few comments, and then maybe after I make the comments, you can translate. Just an idea. As a judge, judging in a lot of countries, and in the last 20 years or more in the USA, we as judges, we tend to train our eyes to look for certain features, and most of us have been judging exhibition birds. In some countries called English, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the exhibition bird, we have certain features on them, and when I judge Australians or I judge calabudgies, I have to retrain my eye to look at those birds and look at for the features we want, because it's a totally different bird. One, these birds should be a little bit more in size and shape and style to what the wild birds are in Australia. But the exhibition birds, for maybe 200 years, skilled breeders around the world have been breeding them to make them bigger, to give them more feathers, to give them directional feather, wider faces, deeper mouths, bigger spots, and bigger overall. So we have to retrain. When I go to judge these, I have to retrain my eye to look for features that we want in an Australian or a wild-type bird. If anywhere we have, considering we're in the middle of a pandemic and everybody's here, you'll see people have masks on, or if we're really close, we have them on. If not, then we can, if we're far enough away, we can communicate with one another. But we have a very good section or entry of Australians. The first bird I really love. It's a crest, it's a violet crest. Small spots, which the Australian should have. And I'm lucky because if I measure from the tip of my finger to the bottom of my thumb, it's 17 centimeters. And that's as long as a wild-type budgie should be. So when we first saw this, when I was judging classes yesterday, I'm like, oh, is this bird a little bit too long? Is it too big? But when I measured him this morning, when I came in, on my hand, he's exactly the right size. Maybe close to the maximum he should be, but a very good bird. Very nice opening markings, beautiful color, and a nice crest. Feathers just long enough so you can see the full circular crest. We'll do some close-ups later so you can see that bird a little bit more clearly. The second bird is a full-body color grey wing. Again, it's the right size, it's the right shape of the face, and it's got the right markings for the variety.
Estaba explicando Bob que en el primer australiano, que puede ser, que ya es el mejor del top 10, está muy cerca del máximo, que es lo que nos pide el estándar. Pero él tiene muy buena cresta, tiene algo de FIBA y lo está considerando como el mejor del top 10.
The next bird is what we call a fallow. Has red eyes, pale body color, and nice light markings. You will notice the first two birds that I really like, the back line is very, very straight. So this is how it should be. This one sometimes, when it relaxes, not so straight. So those birds, because they're better birds and they have a better back line, they go first and second, and this bird goes number 3. This hen here you can see a little smaller than the others, but she's the right shape and the right size. There's a little bit of a problem because her beak sticks out. It's like somebody having a long nose. So the beak sticks out, and we like them where the beak is tucked in a little bit. So if she had a beak tucked in, maybe she would be up number 3, but today she's showing that beak, so she doesn't.
Bueno, en esto nos está explicando que el segundo y el tercer lugar tienen la línea de la espalda, el backline muy bien definida. Y nos estaba comentando desde un principio que él está acostumbrado a juzgar ingleses y que ahorita está ayudándonos con la rama de australianos o periquitos de color. Él repasó otra vez las bases y está como reentrenando sus ojos para buscar las características que estamos juzgando en este momento. Y el cuarto perico comentaba que tiene el pico, tiene el pico algo pronunciado y eso lo hace posicionarse en el cuarto lugar.
The number 5 bird is what we call a dark green spangle, and that is a fairly new mutation. I remember when the first spangles were bred in Australia maybe 35 years ago, and a young man in Australia was going back home to live in Switzerland, and he was allowed to take 3 or 4 birds with him. That then went to one of the top breeders in Germany, and then from there to England, and the year after I was able to get 2 birds from England. And this is very similar mark to the first spangles that I had coming that really were 2 years away from coming from Australia. Different wing markings, again, we'll show that up later so that you can see those. But that's our top 5. This becomes the best hen. And a little bit later on, Liliana is going to go through the records and find, is there any birds that were banded this year, young birds, because they would get a special award also.
Dice que el cuarto lugar es nuestra mejor hembra, o sea, el primer lugar es macho, sexto puesto va a ser el cuarto lugar, y después al final que termine el top 10 vamos a buscar el mejor animal joven con el día de este año.
This one is called a Lutino. It's a beautiful golden yellow color, and it also has red eyes. A nice bird, but when we get past the top 5 birds, the quality of birds in any show starts to go down a little bit. So So these birds are then rated based on where they stand for the quality. Our number 7 bird is a very attractive type of bird. We call it a banded pied or an Australian pied, a dominant pied. And it has black and white wings and usually should have a band of white or yellow across the chest. And again, not quite as good as this one. That's why it's down in number 7. This bird I like. It's a little bit smaller than some of the other birds, but it's got very good markings. This bird would not be out of place if it was flying around in a tree in Australia in the wild, because it looks similar. It's got the small head, it's got small spots, and it's got the color. All the wild birds are green, and mainly because people sometimes say, why isn't there yellow birds or blue birds? The green birds can hide in the trees and amongst the leaves, and the hawks or other predators can't see them. But every now and again, a blue bird will arrive or a yellow bird, and already it stands out, so they don't last too long. The hawks or the eagles will soon eat them for breakfast. We have a real mix of varieties here. This bird is called an opaline. A little bit, this bird is good colour, very big colour, but it's a little bit out of proportion. The bird must be in proportion, certain percentage for the head and then the body and then the tail. And this bird will, some of these cages have wire bottoms, and it's a problem for the birds because they're getting their tail caught out here. Our second hen, she wants to go to sleep now. A little bit beaky also, like the other hen we had earlier, but a nice colour. A coat, we call it a cobalt, and it's a cobalt opaline. So, I'm not sure where that is yet. This is a top hen. This is the top hen. Now, Liliana will check the records now. I kept a very nice young bird here, and if there's no young birds, that means they have a band for 2020 on. If there's no birds in here that have a 2020 band, so we know it's a young bird now, then that would be best young bird in this section. But first off, we're checking. Some of these might be current year birds, but just have their adult feathers. Very impressed with that, with the first bird that has a nice crest. Can you get a close-up on that? You can go anywhere you like. If you want to go up to it, you want to go up to it? You enjoying it? Oh, then that's not ideal. Now, on here, you need to get a special thing on the camera to see if it's a sample. Maybe I need to do cold that. I shouldn't speak to you for you first.
Okay.
Oh, that old guy. Don't need to look at the records because they'll have to have the band.
Oh, un verde oscuro. The band color.
I have no idea. It depends. Some countries don't always. Or it says there, MX20.
Yeah, fine.
It's a young bird, so it's just a little one of their thing.
¿Para juzgar? ¿Ya lo van a juzgar? ¿Sí? ¿Ya van a juzgar?
Ah, es que creo que me
Salió uno. Y él lo dice, salió uno. Se compró una parejita y esa parejita ya lleva como 2 3 parejas y ya tiene como unos 7 o 8 parejas. Que no le gustan, dice. Oiga, entonces no le gustan. ¿Mande? Sometimes it's a problem if you're driving a long way and so you have a lot of birds don't come to pieces. So if you have like a band, maybe you can put 20 cages in the back. But with those cardboard cages, it's folded up and divided. So it's flat and then you fold it up. Maybe in the same space you put 100. And in Egypt, when we were in Egypt, I brought back. In Egypt, they have wire cages, not plastic ones, not wire, but it's the same full laid flat. You just put it up, and it's in the bed. So people like them because they can put it up and put more room and show them the more birds go. I mean, that's a right. Those I think from France are in the French or Italian.
Nomás que nos apoya. Esta persona nos llevamos
¿Ya no nos vamos o?
Do you have them written down? So,
I have it.
you have them? Oh, you've got them already? Okay, I don't need to check. I just want to know you have them. She won't be the only one doing thank you.
This part is funny. one is 30 and the second one is 20.
So really,
That is special award.
for what? No, this is best. Right? This is this one, right? Which is number one? Oh, this here is number one, number two. Alright, so this is best. And best can is here.
Both of them
A young bird.
are young birds. So this guy is the first, the second place is
So it's over. But usually you don't do that. Share some awards.
So that one, or should I have another one for the old hand? Before they take it.
Is there an old hen? Yeah, probably. There's only one other hen there. It's the one here. That one right there in front of you.
No, there's another hand. This one, this is up, but it's 2020.
I think that's the only hen.
20.
That one is
20.
it's a 20 also. Alright, so the young birds are doing well then. Alright. So later will people be able to come and look at the birds?
And tomorrow we'll have it.
So that's
So I will just keep this one here and I will bring the English.
yeah, we'll need that for best in show later. Oh, where are you putting these?
And now,
The young birds are taken care of because the best Australian is young bird and the best can is young bird. So it works out good. Now we'll see what we have.
Ya. ¿Sí? ¿Les pongo los ingleses aquí? Sí.
So let's take these first. Good now. So they don't get mixed
no, pero los ingleses los mejores. Los que están acá.
Ah, este.
Ajá.
5, 3, 4, 5,
No, no hay hembras que jóvenes, y hembras y las Está bien. Vamos a terminar el inglés y luego sigue el ejercicio.
There was a good trick. A good trick. I dream it now it can work.
Well, we will have a lot of people watching now.
Well, it'll be good to you'll get to know a little bit more about it. But I taste and see this one day to
You should be something.
yeah, we don't have we go to church.
Yeah, you should go.
Las tres filas, ¿verdad? Las tres filas.
No.
How many
¿Verdad?
more?
Espérame.
No, you can put it at the top. You can put it at the top. Because we're going to end up with that.
Pero no tiene marca una.
How many more we have?
Ese sí tiene dos.
How many more we have?
I don't know, let me check tocando el pelo de algo con el.
Sí.
¿Sí?
Es que me dijo Luis que eran de esos tres puntos. Ayer cuando le pregunté. Entonces, no sé. Ajá. ¿Hay otro que no tenía?
This is it?
Yeah.
That's it.
Si lo quieres apoyar, pues para que sí para defender. Estás con él y si quieres traducirlo, pues para que sí para defender. Para que verifican que va.
Muy bien. No. This is how I'm walking.
Dame su pinito, que no me baje tu tamaño. Es un pequeño. No, pero es ¿sí dónde está acomodando el tope?
Voy a ir a pegar con el... No,
Ay, sí, la tuviera sacada ahí.
porque ya es hora, ya van a ser las 12, ya pasando las 12 son las horas reglamentarias.
Sí, está dulce, pero ahorita le doy que es una versión. Ahorita no, sí, vamos a darle de bueno, claro, que me cae la
Lo voy a volver a traer.
o 9. De una vez. En mi trombo.
Aquí qué importa más, que tengan como las manchitas más marcadas o más nubladas.
Depende de la mutación. Depende de cada mutación, tiene el marcaje.
Como esa amarilla sí lo tiene naturalmente.
Okay, time to announce the winners of the exhibition birds. To be honest, I'm very surprised at the quality. This first bird could be a cobalt or a sky violet. Normal, here we call them classics. A beautiful hen, well prepared. The owner of this bird should be proud because he or she spent a lot of time preparing this bird so it could show at its best. This is an excellent hen. This is a hen that I would take home tomorrow to breed. And usually when I go to another country, there's not too many birds that I find like that. It's also unusual that a hen wins best in show. Usually it's the cockbirds, the male birds that win most of the places here, but today we have some excellent hens. So to just mention about the top
Sí, está comentando que en primer lugar la mejor de las ingresas es una hembra, la que el criador, la criadora la preparó muy bien, le recortó muy bien los spots, que tiene muy buen porte y que a él le gustaría llevársela a su casa, no sé con qué más.
Our second bird also is another hen. Surprise, surprise. But this is a cinnamon violet, a cinnamon opaline violet. Nice head, nice back line when she stands up, good shoulders for a hen, quite good head. Little bit of a problem with the spots, a genetic problem in the spot in the mask down here. It should be round, but this one has what we call scallop spots. It's a little bit like a teardrop on top, so it's a different shape. But if that bird gets mated to a male that has round spots, hopefully the youngsters will be good also.
Comenta que en segundo lugar también es una hembra, violeta opalina, y el único defecto que le puede ver es que los spots los tiene, en vez de que sea un círculo, es como una gotita, no están completos. Pero ahí es más, es una muy buena hembra también. Y otra va a mencionar sobre el tercer lugar, que es un macho.
The third is the first of the males, or as we call them, cockbirds, a yellow-faced blue. Nice markings. When he stands up, he's a little bit tired right now. He's got a little bit of a feather problem. He has some of these flight feathers a little bit broken, which at this time of the year is not unusual. And his mask, his spots, some of them are the right spots and some of them are smaller spots. Probably means either the owner pulled the wrong spot, or sometimes it can mean that the bird's starting to molt and has dropped those main spots. So it's important the bird has 6 spots, but they should be similar spots. But a very nice long bird, when he sits up nicely, rolls his head, so you see good feather here, and quite a wide face, which is something that we look for in these birds.
El tercero comenta que es un macho clásico cielo, cara amarilla, no le encuentra defectos, tiene muy buen tamaño, nada más por la temporada del año tiene las alas un poquito, la pluma del ala un poquito lastimada, y de los spots pues no sabemos si el criador le quitó los spots que le hacen falta o está mudando, está terminando de mudar.
The fourth bird is what we call an opaline, light green. Very big bird, stands up nicely, little bit of problems with marking. It should be around the neck, it should be clean. There's nice spots here, but around it looks like he's wearing a shirt with a dirty collar. We call it dirt around the collar. So that is a little bit of a problem, so he has to be penalized for that. And up here on his head, he has some little black ticks. I wouldn't call it flaking, but ticking, and it will never go away. It's not like some of the other, but this bird will grow better feathers. It will grow the right spots here, so it's only a temporary fault for him. But this one, the flecking will stay and the ring around the collar will stay, so because of that he goes back one and he's number 4, but still a very good bird.
En cuarto lugar comenta que es un macho opalino verde, con algunos problemas en las marcas en opalinos, con algo de flecking, bueno, es considerado flecking and sticking, que es algo que no se le va a corregir. En el caso de este, los spots se le van a volver a crecer, por eso pasa a cuarto lugar, el problema que tiene en la corona, en la parte superior de la máscara, no se le va a corregir. El quinto lugar en Lazy.
The fifth bird is what we call a red-eye lacewing. Has brown wing markings, which are quite distinct. They're not faint or pale like you might see if it was a cinnamon lutino, but very distinct wing markings there. Nice mask, nice bird overall, but it's not quite the same size as the birds in front of it, but a very useful bird to take home and breed. We're getting a lot of color here today, and the sixth bird is a cinnamon dominant pied. And because of the cinnamon, the body color gets a little bit lighter, and you can see some patches of white, which you should have with the dominant pied. A little bit of kicking in the head, but not too much. So,
en el sexto lugar tenemos una hembra, una pillo dominante, opalina, cielo, canela, Baja.
Seven.
Séptimo lugar.
This is another red-eyed lacewing. Nice markings also. And not quite as large as the bird up in front. The lacewing that breeded in past. So still a very nice bird.
El lacewing que tiene en séptimo lugar tiene buenas marcas, no tan buenas como el lacewing que tenemos en el quinto, pero no tiene muy buen tamaño para alcanzar el mejor lugar, el octavo.
The eighth bird, bird number 8, is what we call a cinnamon light green. Cinnamon because it has cinnamon color, brown color wings and markings. A little bit, maybe it's just growing a new tail because the tail is a little bit short. But if you look at the mask, it has big spots. Sometimes those spots are on top of one another. So it looks like maybe there's some extra spots there that need to be removed. When you prepare birds to show, the only area that you're permitted to take feathers out is in the mask area, so that you end up with 6 spots. This one has more than 6. It's a little bit like a lady going to a beauty pageant, a beauty contest, and maybe she puts too much makeup on. You know, she's not going to win. And the same here. Not that it won't win, but when it has good birds like this competing with it, then it must be penalized because it's not quite right. But this is a very good bird. A very good bird.
Aumenta la perica que está en el lugar número 8, que es una hembra verde canela, que a lo mejor le hizo falta arreglarle un poquito la máscara, los spots, para que tuviera mejor presentación, pero que no deja de ser un buen perico. El noveno lugar.
And this one, number 8, was also a hen, and number 9 is a hen also. What we would call an opaline, a cobalt, a good bird, nice. The owner has done a nice job protecting the marks, but a little bit too much markings around here and a little bit of that picking at the top.
Y en noveno lugar es una hembra opalina, otra hembra. También tiene algún problema de marcas en la mutación, en la espalda, y un problema de picking en la parte de la máscara, la parte superior de la máscara.
As breeders, we're always trying to make the birds better, and we're trying to get rid of any of the problems that we have. And it's an interesting thing. If you have this picking or flecking in the head, if it's a classic bird, if it's one like this or one like this, then it's a real problem. And their chicks will usually also have this picking or flecking in the head. But for some reason, and we don't know why, if you breed an opaline hen to an opaline cock, and they can both be flecked, but sometimes some of the youngsters are completely clean. So they have nice, beautiful white or yellow heads.
Está comentando que en los opalinos es muy común encontrar el flecking cuando es algunas marcas muy pesadas o el picking cuando son muy ligeras, pero que recomienda hacer un cruce entre los opalinos para empezar a limpiar eso, que es una falta. En el caso de los clásicos, si lo tuvieran es muy, muy difícil de remover. Y en el décimo lugar tenemos un macho peje.
A pet bird is a Texas clear body. Called a Texas clear body because you'll notice the body of the bird looks very clear. It doesn't have the blue color that you see, what we call the rump of the bird. And the wings are a different color. They fade out, particularly in the flight area.
Y el Texas comenta que tiene el Texas clear body, Texas cuerpo claro, tiene un cuerpo claro como debería de ser, sin marcaje las alas justamente intenso al individuo hacia las remeras.
This is a variety that's becoming very popular around the world. 5 or 6 years ago, I would judge the show, and sometimes no Texas clear body, or only 1 or 2. And now, because so many people like them, and some top breeders in Europe, like Tibor Gerko, and people like that Martin Halen and Daniel Ludolf are breeding some of these birds. They become in demand in many countries, and even some of these Texas clear bodies now are winning shows. 3 years ago in Egypt, the big heat show in Egypt, was a Texas clear body that got best in show from about 700 birds. So an excellent bird. So it's very unusual. So this is our top 10. Congratulations to the owners. I hope that you've enjoyed watching and judging and maybe learned a little bit from it. And then later on, for best in show, we're going to compare the best exhibition bird to the best Australian bird, and the best of those will be the best budgie in show.
Bueno, esperemos que hayan disfrutado. Nos comentaba, terminamos el top 10 por hoy. El día de mañana, bueno, primero muchas felicitaciones a las personas, a los creadores, dueños de estos perritos que tuvieron un lugar dentro del top 10. Ahorita vamos a revisar para sacar los mejores jóvenes y machos, dejarlos ya con la revisión. El día de mañana, por la mañana, vamos a tener una revisión. Bob nos va a estar apoyando, dando comentarios de las aves. Vamos a hablar un poquito sobre los errores también, las mutaciones, las faltas de las mutaciones. Y por qué los animales tuvieron malos lugares durante el show o no subieron tanto como en el top 10 y los que están en el top 10 también otra vez vamos a explicar el por qué. Entonces, pues, por hoy, Cristian, es todo. Muchas gracias. Gracias.